Hey y'all, I am back with another weekly reading update. This one is a little bit later in the day because I have been struggling with this terrible cold all this past week. And this weekend, I just wanted to cough it out. I am feeling much better, but I'm still coughing, so if I have to stop this video a bunch, that's why. If you see it jump around, it's probably because I was coughing and had to cut that out. But let's just jump right in because I have a lot to update you all on. First of all, if you love my new glasses, these are from Pear. This is not a paid advertisement at all. I am just obsessed with them. They are, you buy one or multiple base frames if you're like me. And then you can flip them out with the tops are magnetic and I absolutely love them. These are my Thor inspired ones. I have Marvel, I have Star Wars, I have Harry Potter. I have all different kinds of colors. I love them. And so this is a little side note saying that if you love these and you want glasses that you can just change out every day to match your outfit like I am, I highly recommend Pear. Some of their magnets are stronger than others. These ones feel pretty strong, but some are not as strong, but they are inexpensive and they're a lot of fun. So I'll have a discount code in the description below. If you want to try them out, using that code, you would get $25 credit and I would get $25 credit. It's a fun friends code thing. Anyways, back to the reading. So first I'm going to talk about what I have finished this past week. Then I'll talk about what I'm currently reading. And then I'll talk a little bit about what I'll be reading next. So first with my finished books, I have finished Stamped Out by Tanya Kappas. Now, I think last week I hadn't even started this book yet. It was really short. It was an audiobook, Cozy Mystery. It's book 1 in the Mail Carrier Cozy Mystery series. That's a mouthful, but it'll make sense in just a minute when I give you guys a quick spoiler-free description on what Stamped Out is all about. So, like I said, this is a cozy mystery that takes place in Sugar Creek Gap, which is a small town in, I believe, Kentucky, USA, where everyone knows everyone else. Our main character, Bernadette, is a widower and a mail carrier. Hence the title. When the beloved county club is put up for sale, Sugar Creek Gap gossip runs amok. And then the majority owner of the club turns up dead. Bernadette's best friend is the main suspect as he was the one that was going to sell the club. And now Bernadette has to work to find out who the true murderer is because she is 100% convinced that it's not her best friend. My general thoughts about this book is that this was a cute, cozy mystery with a slight twist of romance at the end. I just wanted more development and build-up. It felt like some big reveals towards the end of the book were just kind of dropped on us, and it maybe was hinted at a little bit, but I wanted more of a hint. I was able to kind of guess it as I put the pieces together, but not in the sense that it was dropped on us. So just wanted a little bit more development for Stamped Out. It also felt like, I said this is book 1 in a series, but this book very much felt like it could be a standalone. So if you're looking for a fun, cozy mystery that has a little bit of romance, Stamped Out is a good place to start because you could read it as a standalone, but it's also part of a bigger series if you loved it that much. And then I read A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin. This is, of course, book 1 in the Earthsea Cycle series. A spoiler-free description for what this book is all about. Ged was the greatest sorcerer in Earthsea. But in his youth, he was the reckless Sparrowhawk. In his hunger for power and knowledge, he tampered with long-held secrets and loosed a terrible shadow upon the world. This is the tale of his testing, how he mastered the mighty words of power, tamed an ancient dragon, and crossed death's threshold to restore the balance. My general thoughts about this book was that I loved it. It felt like coming home for me. It felt like an old epic classic that I've read many times over, even though this was my very first read of this book. It felt like I was reading The Hobbit, and I'll say this is partly because the narrator of the audiobook also narrated The Hobbit, So there is that. But also just the epic language and writing style of Le Guin felt very similar to J.R.R. Tolkien's writing style. It was a comforting read for me while I was sick, which is sometimes unusual for me to say for first reads. Often my comfort reads are books that I've read before and know what to expect, but this one just felt comforting to me. And the last book that I have finished reading is Inside Out and Back Again. Now this is a middle grade book written in free verse poems. It's the moving tale that follows a young Vietnamese girl as she leaves her war-torn homeland for America in 1975. Just as the Vietnam War is finishing up, if you want to call it that. We follow young Ha as she flees Vietnam and learns to try to adapt to new customs and languages in Alabama. My general thoughts about this book is that listening to the audiobook was a little bit confusing for me to determine what format this was in. Now, the description I just read out says it's in free verse poems, which makes a little bit more sense because I was thinking poetry, but then there were times that the narrator just, the way that she narrated it felt more like prose to me, and so my brain was confused on how to receive it. But one thing that I did love about it was that Lai, the author, was able to, for the most part, stay in the child's point of view throughout this whole book. It is a short book. It's a middle grade book, but she was able to stay in that child's point of view. And a lot of authors say that that's their aim. That's what they're doing. That's what they're trying to do. But oftentimes, their adult point of view, their adult thoughts, their adult memories, their adult worries, the real world kind of seeps into that and it doesn't quite stay in a child's point of view. So I really love that she was able to stay there mostly. I did get one short story read, that's Good and Bad by Lucia Berlin from A Manual for Cleaning Women. Now this story was different than her other stories I've read so far because it takes place in Chile and from the point of view of a spoiled teenager. This teen has an American nun history teacher who is trying to teach her about kindness and charity, and she is not receptive of it and also using excuses like, that's not how things are done here, and you're going to get laughed at, and they do get laughed at, they do get taken advantage of. But I feel like in the end, she learns a little bit, not as much as the history teacher wants her to learn, I think, but a little. She learns a little bit about humility in this lesson. Now that brings up my current reads. A lot of these are going to sound familiar as they have in the past because these are big giant books and I don't have a lot of reading time during the week. So with my current reads, I am about halfway through A Breath of Snow and Ashes by Diana Gabaldon, and this is book 6 in the Outlander series. And y'all, I forgot all that has happened in this book. On this reread, there is so much that's going on in this book. But the beauty of Diana Gabaldon's writing is that it doesn't feel like it's too much. It feels like it's meant for this story. It feels like it's enough and not too much and just it needs to happen in this book. Along with that, I'm still working through the Outlandish Companion Volume 2. I am almost done with this, mostly because big portions of this book were kind of character glossaries, which were really interesting to read because she talks about characters that were actual historical characters, characters that were based off of historical figures, characters that were based off of people that she really knew, and also some characters, especially in the later books, that are based off of some of the actors and actresses from the TV show. The part that I skipped over mostly is a part that's more of a reference because it's a glossary of Gaelic and Scots terms and how to pronounce it and what it means and how to use it in everyday language. And while I find that really interesting, it's not text that you would particularly sit and just read through. I am making my way through Ships of Destiny by Robin Hobb. This is book 3 in the Life Ship Traders trilogy, and y'all, I'm getting fully sucked into this book. I am in it all the way. My ebook that I'm reading is At the Water's Edge by Sarah Gruen. I am almost done with this one. This is historical fiction. Now we're going into the romance territory. And a content warning for this book that I didn't know about before I started it is there is a lot of violence. There's domestic abuse. There's some sexual harassment. There's physical abuse. There's emotional abuse. There is a lot in this book. So if those are trigger warnings for you, you might want to stay away from this one. The audiobook that I'm working on right now is Virgins by Dana Gabaldon. Now this is an Outlander prequel. It is about Jamie and Ian in France shortly after Jamie's father Brian Fraser dies. And I am loving getting this younger version of Jamie and Ian that we've heard about in the Outlander books, but we didn't get to see. Here we get it, and they're both virgins, and it is just really, really great to listen to. Now this leaves me with what I'm going to be reading next. Now my physical reads, my next reads are going to be the same as I said last week. I Am Legend by Robert Matheson, which was a book that John picked out, and the biography of Leonardo da Vinci, which I need to read and give back to my coworker who lent me that book. I have 2 ebooks on deck for next. One is also a John pick that he sent to me. It Will All Work Out by Kevin Hart, another Kevin Hart book. I am interested to see how this works in print because so far I've only read Kevin Hart books through audiobook and they work really well with his narration. I'm interested to see how this works in text. And then the other ebook that I will be starting next is The Paper Magician, of course, which I talked about in last week's video. The next audiobook that I'm going to be starting is another Diana Gabaldon one. This month in September, I have a whole bunch of books that were once free for my Audible subscription, and now are going off of that free and would need purchase that I'm trying to get done before the end of the month. So the next one I will be reading after Virgins is I Will Give You My Body, which is basically Diana Gabaldon talking about how she writes sex scenes, which I'm not sure how I'm gonna enjoy this one, but I'm interested because I just love listening to people talk about their writing. The next videos up on my channel are going to be a spoiler-free review for Stamped Out, which I talked about in this video. A bonus video on Tuesday is a re-airing of the spoiler-free review for A Tangle in Time by Josiah Bancroft, because that is the release date. September 9th is release date for A Tangle in Time by Josiah Bancroft. And then on Thursday, as long as I am able to record these videos, which now my throat is starting to get scratchy with all this talking, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to or not, is a spoiler-free review for A Wizard of the Earthsea. So that is my weekly reading update for you all today on September 7th. Let me know in the comments below, what was your favorite reading moment from this past week? What are you looking forward to reading the most in this next week? As always, keep reading, and I love you all to the moon and back. Bye.